Hi, Brian. You okay?
Hey, how are you?
Brilliant. Just let you know, you're on with myself, Ray, and my co-host Patrick.
Okay.
Hey, yeah. How's it going, Brian?
Good, how are you?
Beautiful, man. Great to have you.
Appreciate it.
Right. What I'll do is we'll jump straight in. We'll talk. We'll might as well start with your fight on Friday, which was a really solid performance. I was really surprised actually with the shots you were landing that he was able to hang in for 3 rounds. How did you feel going into the fight?
I felt good as my training camp and my preparation going into it. You know what I mean? I made a conscious decision that I was going to be more technical and just let the chips fall where they may. And that kind of played out in the fight. I thought, if I was doing my job that I'd catch him with something and probably knock him out. But, with a conscious mind to kind of stay relaxed and not rush, I wasn't surprised that it went 3 rounds though either.
I mean, I can see you certainly seem more measured than what you normally are, which obviously fits in what you're saying. But with some of the shots you were landing, I was surprised that he didn't go down. I think that was more down to him hanging on in there rather than you not landing the shots, because you did land some clean shots on him.
Yeah, I landed flush a few times. I just think when he angled out or, you know what I mean? I just didn't go for that second attempt and try to force the finish. But yeah, you hit him square. I hit him square on a lot of times. Even in the first round, I dropped him with an elbow and then hit him with a follow up. You know what I mean? I landed a lot of other clean shots in the second and third, and just, he just was able to stay up. And, I know I have solid power.
Yeah, you certainly do.
He went to the hospital afterwards.
I'm not surprised. What's next then? What happens with you next? I know, obviously, in the pre-match interview, you talked about the tournament for next season, the middleweight tournament. So, is that what you look at next?
Yeah, just gearing up for 2013, and I'm expecting to invite into the middleweight tournament. I imagine I'll fight in January or February. I don't really know how. What tournaments or what title fights you're going to be going first as Bellator moves over to Spike TV, but I expect to compete pretty early.
How excited are you about the move to Spike TV, and what kind of impact will that have on you?
It'll be nice in the sense of just more coverage. You know what I mean? People kind of identify Spike TV and mixed martial arts under the same umbrella. So it'll be nice to have more coverage. And, MTV2, while it's a great station and it's owned by Viacom, which owns, a lot of cable networks and owns Bellator and MTV2 and Spike and everything. Spike just has a larger audience, and, there's nothing really on MTV2 that I watch other than Bellator. It's a lot of bad reality television. So with the move over to Spike, I think it'll be more coverage, for the fighters, and there should be, an increase in, sponsor dollars and just, overall notoriety.
Yeah, that's got to be a good thing. It's going to be good for the fighters and for Bellator. I mean, Bellator has done so well, and it's certainly becoming probably the most established promotion outside of Zuffa, and it just needs exposure, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's a little frustrating sometimes to, I know I'm one of a handful of some of the best guys in the world, and some people, they're like, "What's Bellator? You do what?" And you have to say, well, Bellator is the second biggest organization behind the UFC, and and just having to explain yourself, you know what I mean, is kind of difficult at times.
Yeah, hopefully that will change then with what happens with Spike. But before we move forward, let's talk a little bit about your career and what got you into mixed martial arts. So you've been fighting professionally since 2008. Your current record is 10 wins and 4 losses. So what got you into mixed martial arts?
I grew up doing karate as a kid. That was one of the first sports I was involved in. That and, baseball. And as I moved into junior high school age, 13, 14 years old, I participated in football, wrestling, and track, and got away from doing karate. And, football ended up being my best sport throughout high school. And I was fortunate to play, football in college at a Division II, which is in the States, a medium-sized university for football. And I played there at Walsh University from 2002 to 2005 and graduated in the summer of 2006. And really, I just was pretty bored and just wanted to keep competing and doing something. Obviously we know at, 2005, 2006 was that big boom in mixed martial arts, going to Spike with the Ultimate Fighter and things like that. And I'd always been a fan of the sport, even when I was doing the karate point fighting tournaments. I remember, my dad's friends would have the old VHS, original UFC 1, 2, 3, and 4 tapes and stuff like that. So originally I kind of got into it because I wanted to drop some of my football weight and just keep training and, just do something productive. And, I fell in love with it, from more than a fan to, being a competitor. And I think I had my first amateur fight in '06. And, from that point on, I just was like, I knew I wanted to be a professional athlete, and I knew I had the raw skills and ability to do so.
So from doing the karate, and obviously especially doing the point karate, which is probably, am I right in saying, is semi-contact?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's semi-contact. A lot of times it's harder at the body, or you know what I mean, and stuff. But I had to pull head punches, and I did that. I probably had my last karate tournament when I was 13 or 14. So especially at that younger age, the contacts were very restricted.
Yeah. So how did you find it then from going from doing that? I know you were quite young doing that to doing the mixed martial arts, because it must have been your instinct to pull punches, and obviously that's something you don't want to do in MMA. So how did you find it adapting?
I think a good thing that was good about it is with karate, it's a more hard striking style, like when you're doing the brick breaking and the board breaking and all that. So I was able to go through my punches and lock out well. And I also think it made my hands a little faster, from the sense of, even though you're not putting combinations together because there's not a lot of hooks and uppercuts, you know what I mean, as much. But with the point fighting, you're supposed to hit and not get hit and get out, you know what I mean? So a lot of the linear shots I think I became pretty good at, and I helped, with doing Ishinru karate is a hard Okinawan style, and I think that kind of helped develop my power and whatnot. But I think that was the benefits. The negatives would be, putting punches in the combination and using angles, because karate and point fighting is a little bit more, back and forth, linear, straight in, straight out, not as much circle and angles as in boxing.
So looking at over your record, obviously you fought most of your fights in Ohio, which is, I'm going to assume that was like your local circuit, and then you got the call up for Strikeforce. How did that come about, and how did all that play out, and how did you feel getting the call?
I had heard a rumor, it was like December 2010 or January 2011, that Strikeforce was coming into town because the UFC had vacated that spot that goes around during the Arnold Classic, which is a huge fitness convention that takes place in Columbus, Ohio, which is about 2.5 hours from me. I heard Strikeforce was coming, and I just took to Twitter, honestly, and just started harassing former matchmaker Rich Chow, to put me on the undercard and give me a shot. At the time, Strikeforce was doing well. They had their Challenger series and stuff like that, and I knew that would be a good opportunity for me, to work my way up and start to get into the bigger shows. And he listened, and I was given an opportunity, and it was, I was down in Nationwide Arena. I sold like over $7,000 in tickets.
Wow.
For the event, and fought on the undercard and had a good show, and expected to be signed by Strikeforce soon after. Afterwards, Rich, who I still talk to, was like, "Hey, we'll be in touch." You know what I mean? He's like, "I really liked your performance tonight. We'll definitely be talking." Well, the very next weekend, I remember I was catching a nap. And it was like Saturday afternoon, being lazy after the fight, and I got a call from a buddy of mine, or a text, and he says, the UFC just bought Strikeforce, which, at the time was, was kind of uncomprehendable.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
And, so, I was kind of, got on MMA Junkie, saw it, and I was like, oh, wow. And, after that, I kind of just got lost in the shuffle. And, Zufo started putting in their own people and got rid of a lot of Strikeforce employees. And as I thought back, the Strikeforce, CEO, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting
Scott Coker.
Scott Coker, he wasn't even in Ohio that weekend. And that main event that night was Henderson versus Feijao. And I thought back about it, and I was like, you know what? He wasn't even there. So I'm guessing they were literally hammering out the deal, during the event and the days beforehand. So, kind of just got lost in the shuffle. And at the time, my friend and former manager, Ron Foster, he had got Sam Kaplan on the phone from Bellator and was like, "Brian just put together another first round knockout. You really need to look at this guy." And, not too much later, we kind of were talking about what the next move was, or, we're going to look for an Ultimate Fighter, try to get in the UFC and this and that. And Bellator offered me an opportunity, and I took it. I couldn't be happier.
I think it's worked out well, obviously, that you've gone to Bellator, but it was so unfortunate with the timing of that win then, with what you've just said. I mean, you win an event before that, and you've probably got to deal with the Strikeforce, and maybe you're in with Zuffa. But I mean, it's worked out well because obviously you're making a name for yourself in Bellator. You've obviously had a very good couple of years in Bellator. Now you've got quite a few, big spectacular wins in Bellator. Have you got a favourite win?
I guess I can list two. You know what I mean? The first tournament run, that was great and everything, and just had that first win on a big stage. Been lucky enough where I've just received a Fighters Only Award nomination for Knockout of the Year.
I was going to bring that up, yeah.
Over Vitor Vienna, who's an outstanding fighter and world-class jiu-jitsu competitor. But honestly, this last fight, you know what I mean, just because it's coming off a loss and it showed I could go, 3 rounds, and I just kind of showed a different pace and, a little crisper striking and everything. So honestly, that's my favorite, just because I showed I went the distance and was in control the whole time.
Well, I want to go back to what you just said about the award. Can you tell me how did it come up? How did you find out about the award?
Honestly, one of my teammates, I didn't know when the nominations were going on and whatnot, but one of my teammates just congratulated me on Twitter, and then I saw the link and that I was nominated, and I kind of thought I would be, that was a big deal, and I hit him with a knockout, and got me an interview on ESPN, with the flying knee, and I think it's got over 450,000 hits on YouTube, things like that. But I didn't know the nominations were coming up this quick, and so there's some other good knockouts listed on there. I think obviously being selfish, I think mine was the most clean. Besides, Edson Barbosa's spinning wheel kick is on there, which is pretty a great knockout in itself and whatnot. My only thing is I think he had to jump on him and follow him up with punches. The guy didn't go straight out, but he did knock him out, So yeah. I guess that's my only bargaining chip to compete with that one. But we'll see what'll happen. Hopefully, people look at the moment, you know what I mean, and everything just kind of surrounded, and hopefully I can get the award. Or if not, it's great to be nominated, and hopefully I'll keep putting up, highlight reel finishes, or make my name in other ways, and get another invite next year.
Yeah, it was certainly brilliant to be nominated. Now, I know Patrick's eager to jump in, so I'm going to let Patrick jump in. Are you ready to go, Patrick?
Yeah, sure am, Ray, and thanks again for coming on, Brian. We appreciate your time.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So your opponent last Friday, Dominic Steele, he's another Ohio guy, and I was watching some of the pre-fight interviews, and he had questioned your heart a little bit. Did some of his comments surprise you, or is that just typical pre-fight hype?
I think a little bit, and I think that's what happens when you're not, very creative with selling the fight. Because what was he going to say? I think I'm a better striker. You're not. You think I'm bigger. You're not. You think you're faster. You're not. So I guess that was, kind of thing. But honestly, they play those right before we walk out, and so I really didn't hear it. And I didn't know it till after the fight. I only heard it when I saw an internet copy, or I watched it on my DVR. You know what I mean? And I saw that, and I thought I shouldn't have been so nice to him after the fight if I knew he was talking all this trash.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're definitely very classy and very complimentary of Dom in your post-fight interview. You had commented that he must have had the Wolverine adamantium bones. And I love that reference, so I had to ask, are you a big comic book fan?
Yeah, I'm a bit. I collected comic books as a kid growing up, and had the action figures and statues and all kinds of stuff. And I go see all the Marvel movies, and I'm usually one of the guys that are there at midnight when it's going to debut. Whatnot. My wife makes fun of me for it. She's laughing at me right now.
Hey, that's all right. The comics are big, man. I was collecting the action figures as well. I had Juggernaut, Omega Red. I had all those guys. Getting back to the MMA though, Bellator's been getting a lot better, and better talent since the promotion started, including yourself. I was going to ask, is there anyone in the promotion you like to watch when maybe you're in the locker room?
Yeah, guys that I enjoy watching, I guess I'll kind of go by weight class. I really, at 45, Daniel Strauss, who fought the same night as me, and Mike the Marine Richmond, who's fighting this weekend. Two guys I enjoy watching a lot. Pat Curran at 45, the champion. Joe Warren. All guys that I'm kind of friends with and have a little bit of a relationship with. And going to 55, Michael Chandler and Rick Hahn are two guys I consider friends in the industry, and they're fighting for the title coming up. I'm excited to watch that, you know.
Yeah, that's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, definitely. And going up to 70, I like watching Lyman Good. You know what I mean? He's going to be coming back, going for his belt. You know, he fought the same night as me. And honestly, like a lot of people, you know, put him down and, not Lyman, but a lot of people put the champ, Ben Askren, down and, you know, consider him boring. But from a technical, you know, perspective, like to control somebody the way he does for 15 or 25 minutes, honestly, it's amazing, his level of grappling. And it doesn't make for good TV, but like I sat live when you watch Lyman Good. And if you're a grappling purist and really enjoy control and things like that, it's pretty special to watch. You know what I mean? That other world-class fighters, he can just, you know, he's just kind of like a snake. He just kind of sucks you in and holds you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and going to 85, you know, there's other guys, you know what I mean, I respect and whatnot, but I don't think anyone really is able to do what I'm able to do in the cage when I'm on, you know what I mean, right now. And at 205, I'm excited to watch King Mo. You know what I mean? Of course, you know, he's a buddy of mine. He was at the fight corner in Marius and Morauskas, when we were there and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of guys. I mean, I was a fan first before any of this, you know, before I was even fighting. So
yeah, that's very cool. And, yeah, I mean, gosh, just going over the list, all the guys you mentioned, it's, you know, just proof that Bellator really is growing. And, you know, I'm sure once it gets to Spike, you know, people won't be coming up on you with what's Bellator anymore.
Yeah, I hope not. You know what I mean? I just want to see it, you know, grow. And it's funny because even when you tell people like, yeah, I fight for Bellator, it's the second largest organization in the world, this, that, and the other. A lot of times their next question is, when are you going to go to the UFC? You know what I mean? Which is like, it's kind of insulting, you know what I mean, in a way, because it's like, you don't ask somebody who, you know, is sponsored by Nike, when are they going to switch to Reebok, or, you know what I mean, or, you know what I mean,
yeah.
I'm one of the high, you know, you're a CEO for Burger King, well, why aren't you know what I mean, working with McDonald's? You know,
yeah.
Bellator offers a contract, and they cut the check, and the check pays well. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, hey, I'm sure just like the WEC, you know, a lot of those guys weren't perhaps getting the respect they should have because, you know, they weren't in the UFC, but heck, you know, now we've got, you know, the guys from the WEC went to the UFC and, you know, they're doing their thing, fighting their fights and, you know, proving that there are world-class mixed martial artists like yourself and other organizations, not under the Zuffa umbrella. Now going back to your fight on Friday night though, you were wiping your eye a bit in the second and third rounds. Was that just irritation from the cut? And how's the eye doing?
Oh, it's fine. It was underneath me. You know what I mean? Underneath my eye, probably a solid like inch and a half underneath. I mean, now it's scabbed over. It wasn't anything that needed, even in stitches. I don't know if it even was from a punch or more of a scrape from a glove. So I don't really remember taking any solid, you know what I mean, swiping shots that would cut it. But, I think it was more anything just a nervous habit. And also, you know, his blood was all over the place and I was kind of wiping it on my shorts the whole time. You know what I mean? Trying to get my hands clean. But, I wear contacts and I lost them both during the fight. And at one point, one was kind of stuck to my eye or lid, but I didn't realize even how much I was wiping it until I saw it. You know what I mean? I think it was just because I could feel it and stuff like that. But, you know, my vision was fine the whole time and everything, minus not being able to see because of my contacts.
Man, yeah, I got contacts too, so I can only imagine. I know how it's like when they kind of roll back on you like that. Definitely not the most convenient time for that to happen during a fight. But another thing I noticed during the fight, there were multiple instances where the ref was warning to keep to keep the knees legal. I didn't even see any low blows on your part that connected, and I was wondering, does that affect your game plan at all when you're receiving instructions from a ref when, you know, you might not have even committed a foul?
Yeah, you know what it was? It was, he when he would say keep it legal, like, I threw a couple inside kicks that may have been close to being high, but they didn't hit him, and so he warned us for that. And then when we were on the fence, and he was saying keep it legal, like in the clinch, I don't think he was referring to the knees as much as I was putting my hands like on his face and underneath his neck to create separation. And I think he was more warning me to watch my hands and his eyes or anything, So
I see.
I think that's what he meant by keep it legal when we were in the clinch. But he also said that involving the inside kicks, and whatnot as well.
I see. All right, now.
I guess for me, it doesn't really change a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's just worrying, trying to keep everybody safe. And so the reason I was pushing on his face was to get his chin up. You know what I mean? So I could come over the top with something. And then with the kicks, you know what I mean? If you're kicking high on the groin on the inside kick, it's because you're not really stepping properly. So if anything, it's a reminder to take more of a step, and you're gonna hit correctly, and you're gonna be out of the punching range. So.
I hear you. Now, speaking of correct steps and everything like that, who are you training with? And you training with anybody at Bellator right now, or?
Anyone else? Well, actually, yeah. A couple different people. He doesn't train with us anymore, but Chris Lozano is a welterweight. Has been in and out of Bellator. Is a former training partner of mine. And actually, just today, Jessica Evil Eye is ranked top 5 at 125. They just announced is fighting Zoila Gurgel December 7th, who's the 115 Bellator Women's Champion. Or both Ohio girls. Like I said, I train with Jess. She fights for them as well. Some of my other training partners, that people would know would be UFC heavyweight Stipe Miocic.
Okay.
Forrest Petz. Yeah, Forrest Petz, who's been in and out of the UFC, before. He's got a win over Dan Hardy. Has fought about 7 times in the UFC, but currently fighting for Score Fighting up in Canada. UFC vet Jeff Cox. Those are the bigger names I think people would know. You know what I mean, off the top of my head. And, I do a little bit of traveling. Before this fight, I spent some time, I trained at Strong Style MMA in Cleveland, Ohio. But I've also been spending a little bit of time up at TriStar MMA up in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And I'll probably go back there during my downtime as well.
We just want to say, Brian, we really appreciate you coming on today's show. I know obviously you've got a busy schedule, especially after your fight this week. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to shout out? Any friends, family, and sponsors, and also let people know your Facebook and your Twitter details?
Yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate it. People can follow me on Twitter at brog the Predator. That's at BROG the Predator. And then my Facebook, I have my fan page I'm trying to build up. It's just Brian the Predator Rogers, and then my normal Facebook is, facebook.com/brog185. For all my sponsors, I'm going to try to run down the list real quick, but, Murphy's Ale House, Executive Tailors, Swole Sports Nutrition, Smokey's Dino and Custom Cars, Haas Auto Mall, John P. Lennon, Sweet Sweat USA, Intimidation Clothing, the guys up in Montreal from Fun to Fighter and TriStar, Crow's Auto Body, True Assassin Fightwear, Good For You Gear, goodforyougear.com, everybody at Strong Style, and Fast Graphics, he does my banners and everything else.
That's brilliant. We really appreciate your time. Before we let you go, I just want to say congratulations on your win on Friday, and congratulations on your nomination for Knockout of the Year as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And we look forward to seeing you next year in the middleweight tournament.
Thank you. Looking forward to it myself.
Well, thanks, Brian. Thanks for coming on today's show.
No problem.
Thanks, Brian.
Shoot me a link when you guys get it. I'll put it out there for you.
Oh, thank you. We will do. I'll send you a message.
Cool.
Thanks, Brian. Bye.
Take care, guys.